are some of his achievements, the challenges he had to supervise and try to probably resolve, and who would be succeeding him after he's been laid to rest? What is the plan? What are some of the rights that the successor would need to go through, and how would the people accept him, and how Yagbon would thrive after the vacuum of has been created of the death of the Yagbon Wura Tuntumba Borisa the first. Hello, Mutala. Hello, Mutala.
Hello, Sarah, if you can hear me, I can hear you loud and clear, Sarah.
Okay, so I early on asked you who the late Yagbon Wura was, if you could paint a picture to us, what he stood for during his reign.
So until his coronation as the Yagbon Wura, or overlord of the Gonja traditional area, he was the Kusau Wura. He is a very experienced person who took over the reins of Gonja land from 2010. So he's ruled for 13 years, 2010 to 2023. And his death critical role in the settlement of the Dagbon chieftaincy dispute that started way back 2002 up to somewhere 2019 when it was fully resolved, and then a new king was enskinned. He is one of 3 eminent chiefs in the former northern region. The other 2 include, I beg your pardon, 4. The other 3 include the Nanumba Na, the Yana, and then the Nairi, representing Mampurugu, Dagbang, and Nanum lands. So these were the 4 key paramount chiefs or kings in the northern region, and he played a very important role. He's seen as during his reign throughout Gonja land, the northern region, there were a number of conflicts that he helped in settling, and his death indeed is a big blow to Gonja land and the rest of northern Ghana.
Okay, so what did he stand for during his reign? I mean, he reigned for 13 years. What were some of his strengths, his weaknesses? How did the people, I mean, did he find any legitimacy in his reign among his people? How did the people receive his kingship?
He was well accepted by the people. Let me also indicate that there's a clear succession plan in Gonja land as to who becomes the next king. And even as we speak, they know already who is going to take over. So there was no legitimacy, and he was well accepted by the people. He's a peace-loving person. From a distance, I saw him like someone who was quiet, always well composed. He doesn't speak much when you go for programs, but his face was always present with that calmness, and he gives you that ambience of calmness anytime you were around him. And from what I've gathered from people, he's someone who loves peace and has also contributed significantly. Don't forget that it was during his reign that the Savannah region was carved out of the northern region. He was one of the key lobbyists who ensured that the Savannah region was created. So it's possibly perhaps the biggest legacy of the Yagbon Wura, the creation of the Savannah region, which remains currently the biggest region in Ghana.
You said you didn't speak much during public occasions, but would you say that he had authority over his people? Because someone who was quite, I mean, it's quite easy to be run over by his people, not probably respect whatever decisions or instructions he gives as a king. I mean, someone who didn't talk much. Would you say that was his weakness?
No, not at all. Far from that. You know, traditionally, the accounts will say Ahinpa and Kasa, like chiefs hardly speak much. And he has spokespersons. And the fact that he didn't speak much when on the throne does not necessarily mean that outside of such programs, he didn't speak. He was very welcoming. If you watch social media, see all manner of people taking pictures with the Yagbongura, and that tells you how down to earth and welcoming he is with the people. And his quietness did not in any way also affect his reign. It didn't affect his influence over the people. And I can tell you that he was well respected anytime we visited the palace. And you will find that people from all walks of life, particularly his kinsmen, they have this tradition where if you are a royal, when you are in the palace, you lie on one shoulder. Everybody respected him and accorded him that respect.
But I'm sure he must be well loved by his people. I'm sure he's been sorely missed.
I'm not sure I can hear you, Sarah. I am losing you. Currently, we are still on the, I beg your pardon, the Yagbongura's burial.
So tell us about the final funeral rites. I was asking whether he was sorely missed, and if you could share with us the final funeral rites, what proceeded during yesterday's final funeral rites.
So from the day he died, there are traditional processes ongoing. There are one stage after the other. There are various stages of the funeral. But what I'm told is that on Friday, February 10th, the final funeral rites will take place. And that will take place in Damongo. That is the capital of the Savannah region.
I'm sure his successor has been found already. I mean, has he been groomed to take over from him after the burial?
Well, I want to believe that Mahama Haruna will give you is that there are various gates within from the next king, even and before his death. I am told that it was clear within the Gonja traditional kingdom that the next king, all things being equal, would be this person. So they know clearly who is going to inherit, and that shouldn't be a problem at all after the performance of the final funeral rite. It is going to be a very beautiful tradition. I am told that there are certain rituals that will also exhibit the rich culture of the Gonja people, and I want to hope that Ghana Television will be bringing some of these videos to the screens of Ghanaian viewers. By Friday, hopefully, we'll be there to be able to share with you. I am also learning that there is a particular person who will finally enskin the next Yagbongura. And from the day the person enskin's the Yagbongura, that will be the end. They will never cross paths again. I am yet to confirm this from the custodians of the tradition.
Thank you, Mutala, for those updates. We've been listening to our correspondent, Northern Regional correspondent Mutala, who has been following the proceedings of the final funeral rites of the Yagbongura Tuntum Barbarossa I. We were told that he reigned for 13 years. He had a peaceful reign. He was much revered and loved by his people. And after the funeral, the final funeral rites, which would be taking place on Friday, we are told, we are sure to bring you some light But after the funeral, the successor will be taking over from him, who has also been well groomed for the position to be ensconced as the new Yagbon Wura. Let's move to Bawku, where Bawku has been in the news in recent times for not palatable reasons. We are told the conflict is still raging on. We have military presence, fully armed military presence in Bawku, where conflict has claimed about 11 lives, the latest being Monday. Our correspondent Peter Agrengre has been following developments. He's been with the military and the Regional Security Council to bring us some live updates from Bawku. What's happening there? Hello, Peter.
Hello, Sarah. Good morning.
Good morning. How is Bawku this morning?
Good morning. How is Bawku this morning?
Okay, so Bawku is fine. People are going on with their normal business.
So if I heard you right, you said people have gotten back to their normal business. If you say normal business, what exactly do you mean? Because we know there's curfew imposed there. Have people, traders, gone back to the markets to ply their trade, or what's happening?
Okay, so
Peter, could you please turn down the volume on your set?
Have been in the news for the wrong
Hello,
reasons.
Peter. Could you please turn down the volume on your set because we are having a feedback? Please turn down the volume on your set because we are having feedback.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes, I can. Please go ahead.
So Bawku has been in the news for the bad reasons for the past years. And, you know, this has a lot of people to flee the town. You realize that Bawku is very closer to Togo or Senkansi, where people come in to do business. And, you know, it has been one of the municipalities that give revenue to the Upper East region for development projects. But because of these curfews that have been imposed on the people due to the conflict in the area, it has left the town empty, and people do not really go out to do business because they're always scared. Now, you realize that just last week, a number of people died, making the municipality a ghost town. Many people had to flee. Some shops had to close down. People were not even going to work. School children.
Hello, Peter. So we are still communicating with Upper East Regional Correspondent Peter Agrengre from Bawku, who is giving us some live updates about what's happening there, the conflict, how are people getting on with their lives, even though there are some killings and shootings, and whether schools have reopened, market women have gone back to the market to ply their trade. What's happening there? We are still in touch with our Upper East Regional Correspondent Peter Agrengre to give us some live updates, because he has been with the RegSec and the military. We are told there's heavy military presence. We want to find out who the victims if their families have been contacted, who are perpetrating these crimes. Have the military gotten hand on who probably are doing those killings that we are witnessing from Bawku? Hello, Peter. Hello, Peter. This is real time where the story is. We've been trying to get in touch with our regional correspondent to give us some live updates. We went to Bole where the final funeral rites of the Yagbongura took place yesterday, and we are told the final funeral rites will be tomorrow. Will be on Friday, I beg your pardon, where GBC News will be giving you some live updates as to who even succeeds the late Yagbongura. We also have been speaking with Peter Grengre from our Upper East station to tell us more. We are told he's back on the line. Hello, Peter. Okay, we'll be bringing you some live updates in our subsequent bulletin because we seem to have Peter is on with the military and the RECSEC who are monitoring situation on the ground. So I'm sure we are losing him because we are having network issues. But we'll be bringing you some live updates. This is real time where the story happens. Do stick and stay with GBC News, and we'll be bringing you more.
Upon gaining independence from Great Britain in 1960, the newly formed Nigerian Republic was greatly divided as its three largest ethnic groups struggled to live in harmony. Beyond the more obvious distinctions like language, clothing, and marriage customs, Nigeria's three main ethnic groups also had fundamental differences in values and worldviews, which had been developed over the many centuries leading up to the colonial era and the formation of the Nigerian state. The Igbos, who represented about 60 to 70% of the population of the Southeast, were mostly Christians. for many years in feudal societies in which large working-class populations were ruled by a small theocratic elite composed of emirs and sultans. As their political leaders often doubled as religious leaders, compliance and submission to the will of the political establishment was not simply a civic duty, but a religious one. Very much unlike in Igbo societies, there was nothing particularly odd or shameful about a man aspiring to live a modest life as a farm worker, craftsman, or a nomadic cattle herder. But contrary to commonly held prejudices, the Hausa Fulani were not in any way lazier or inherently less enterprising than their southern counterparts. They simply had a respect for religious discipline and had a more socially conservative worldview. However, there is no denying the fact that while the unquestioning submissiveness of northern societies to the theocratic establishment guaranteed internal stability and order, it also meant that the north was a lot less economically vibrant. Northerners were generally less open to new ideas and often completely rejected secular education in favor of Islamic education. Demonstrating the extent of Nigeria's north-south divide, some studies